Hi, I'm Dr. Tangi, the host and executive producer of Love Manifesto podcast. The premise for the show is to explore, to analyze, and to manifest thriving, platonic, intimate, and business relationships. Today, I have a very special guest that will help us unpack his journey from prison to prosperity and deliverance from evil. His name is Mr. Todd Patterson. Thank you so much for joining us
No
today, Mr.
problem.
Patterson.
No problem.
Well, you know what? He's also an author
Oh boy. Yeah.
and a musician.
Yeah. I love the music. Got to do the music.
So I like to know, when you were a child, did you always dream of being an author or a musician? What was your path to where you are now?
Well, when I was a kid, my stepdad was a musician. He played drums and he played jazz for like Honey Coles, and he danced with the famous Sandman and stuff like that at the Apollo back in the day. So he would have all these musical instruments and equipments at the house. And when he would leave, because I was too young to really mess with it, I would be in there jamming. And then I started getting good. And then every weekend, him and my mom, they would have all of their friends. Instead of them going out, they would come to the house and my band would be their entertainment. So I loved it. We jammed.
Oh, that's super awesome. That's a great experience. Tell me about your childhood and what was that like?
It's funny you asked me that because pretty much all the way to this point, the whole journey that the Lord has me doing through my walk comes from all the way from there, all the way to here. And basically, when you say deliverance from evil and from prison to prosperity, it's a journey that He took me and that I ended up being left as an example to be a living testimony to help lost souls develop an intimate relationship with Him, to the point where they can feel free. They can live through these situations in the way life is now and know that it's going to be all right.
Well, there's someone that's under the sound of our voice, and they want to know, how did you land in prison?
Well,
What took you there?
let me tell you this. When I was younger, I was raised. My stepdad, he was in the entertainment business, but he was in the pretty much like the underworld situation, streets. He sold drugs. He was a, uh, kingpin, whatever you want to call it. And I was taught pretty much all the wrong things. I was taught how to be a player instead of learning how to build houses and porches and stuff like that when I came to Georgia. And so I always had a good heart, but I was taught all the wrong things. I was pretty much taught like a lot of a big percentage of our society where they thought bad was good and good was bad and bad was cool. But we had to realize through my journey that I was being bamboozled, like a lot of us, and to believing that we weren't building life. We was just spreading poison instead of building life. So it was like working against your life.
Mhm.
And so when I met God, I got a record deal from playing different instruments, and I had a lot of groupies, and I was kind of wild. And I'll be honest with you, my DNA showed up more than other people, and I became a parent of a lot of children, and so I began to hate myself. Um, how the devil, the enemy, however you want to say it, had convinced me that you might as well kill yourself because you can't get nowhere. All your friends that you play with, they're making it big time. Michael Jai White's doing his karate, and Jonathan DuBose is playing with Tremaine Hawkins and whoever, Yolanda Adams. Everybody he's played with, and I used to play with these same guys that did the same thing, but I had took a turn. God, when He took me through the journey, He taught me that I had to learn how to do things decent and in order, because I was out of control. So there was a day that I was going to actually sit down and really going to kill myself. I had a gun to my head. I was ready to shoot because my kids didn't love me, uh, the jobs, and it was just rough. Every year I would end up in jail because I couldn't keep up. I could have 5 jobs, 20 jobs, and couldn't keep up. So every year they would take my bank account, clean it out, and I had to start all over again. And the day that I was going to kill myself, God said to me, He said, I saw Him in the mirror, and it freaked me out. And He said to me, He said, take up your cross and follow me and watch what I do.
Mhm.
So believe it or not, 2 weeks after that, I found myself facing 50 years in jail
For
under
what?
under
What?
false pretenses.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what were the false pretenses?
Well, they said I was a terrorist, I was stalking and tampering with evidence. But all the time, believe it or not, check this out. I was going after these people who was trying to sell my babies in human trafficking. And because what happened was, when I was a player and I was having all these kids and the deadbeat dad and all this and that, I met my match. I met this young lady who happens to be a professional call girl. I didn't know it. Her mother sold her to a phony pastor at the age of like 12 or 14, and he exploited her. She had 10 pregnancies. 8 of the babies got sold in human trafficking, from what I heard and what I've seen. Some of the evidence, because it basically was happening to me without me realizing it. But little did they know they were dealing with the man of God, the man that trusts God. And I developed an intimate, powerful relationship with Christ. Let me show you how I did it. So now here I am facing 50 years, and I know I'm innocent, and my son is out there because they're trying to sell him in human trafficking. Evidently, these people were having babies to sell for the black market, and it's a city. It's a whole city that was involved. It was a bunch of mess that's involved, and so here I am. I'm sitting here facing 50 years, and I'm like, Lord, why am I here? Because I've been serving you for the past, even her, I even brought her to you, and we went camping, and we're about to get married. We just had a son, and he told me, he said, I had to take you here to sit you down. I had to tear you all the way down to build you all the way up, because you were a good person. You don't know how good you are, and he says, but you have been taught all the wrong things. So he had to incorporate the renewing of in the mind, and teach me how to really see things the way they according to his will, which opened a whole lot of doors for me. So here I am in this place, and I'm like, well, Lord, my son, he's out there, because I was going after these people because wouldn't you, if somebody's trying to hurt your child and his mom, and all of this stuff that I went through. And I'm not just saying this. I have police reports, DFACS, Emory Hospital, all these reports that can verify, endorse and verify what I'm saying. And so, and you can see for yourself. That's what I love about my book, because God wrote this stuff in my book 13 years ago. So you can see what he manifests.
Right.
I don't have to tell you, you know what I mean? So when you look at my babies now, today, so let me first tell you. So here I am locked up in this place, and God said, and I'm saying, well, Lord, I got to get out of here because nobody won't pay me no attention, no calls, no money, no support, and nobody helped me find my son. I don't know if he's being sold or if he's being used for body parts. I don't know what's going on. Here I am at 4 walls, and so I had a choice to either go crazy or just trust and believe in the God that I kept serving. So he said to me, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. First, when he first got me there, he told me he wanted me to read the entire Bible. He wanted me to fast, pray, and I developed an intimate relationship with him that became so powerful, because I was a street guy that didn't know nothing, but I was able to answer any question with any bishop, pastor, whoever, when it comes to the will of God, because I developed an intimate relationship with him where he started talking to me 24/7, around the clock. So I'm sitting here in this place and I'm watching God. Okay, first thing he did was clean my temple out, because I'm there for like 6 months. So he tells me, he says, well, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, Lord, I just need to go. Nobody won't help me find them. They won't look. They ain't calling. Because everybody cares about money. That's what you hear in some of my music. I write about what people just care about. So I'm trying to find him. And he said to me, he said, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. He said, if I can give my only begotten son, you can trust me to protect yours.
Hello, Sam Wagner, pastor of New Foundation Church International here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I hope you come and join one of our worship services with us real soon. Join us on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 10 a.m. Just know this, we're here to help you to grow in your faith so that you can walk by faith and not by sight. God bless.
And that's when I gave up and gave in. And I was like, and I started finding peace in this pits of hell. This is where I'm getting delivered from you. You got all of the red band guys. They want to fight. They want to shank. They did this. They want to rob. I remember, and this is part of the book too. I remember I'm sitting here, and they're sitting there for like 45 minutes, and they're talking about how they can sell this, and I got 15 pounds, and I shot this person, and I did this, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like half asleep, and I just got up. I said, guys, you guys are killing me. I said, man, y'all sat there for 45 minutes and told each other how you can kill each other, but I haven't heard anybody say anything about entrepreneurship, building, raising your kids, college funds, going to their games, their cheerleadings. You haven't spoke life for 45 minutes. You just spoke death. Come on, guys. And you have to realize, and I didn't realize these things until I went through this journey, but I told him, you have to realize that the only major impact and influence that we have over our future is the seeds that we plant right now, today, mentally, physically, and spiritually, in order to get it all back.
Absolutely. So fast forward, you finally regain custody of your children in like 2 minutes or less. Tell us how you actually regain custody of your children.
It was my son's first birthday, and I was like, Lord, when am I going to get out of here? It's his birthday. Everybody else had these cards and birthday cards and everything, and I had nothing. And I cried that whole day because they played Will Smith, Pursuit of Happiness, and he had his son. And it was, again, 1, 2 in the morning. He said to me, he says, you remember when you were out there having reckless sex and all this stuff and that? And he said there was 2 women that could have had their child's first birthday, but they had abortions because you was just partying with. And I asked him to forgive me. I asked her to forgive me. I wrote a letter to every woman that I ever thought I ever hurt for whatever reason, explaining. And I start getting letters back. And one lady wrote me a letter, and one of my child's moms wrote a letter back. And the guy said, Rev, you got all these women writing you. And I said, well, no. I said, read this. And he reads it real quick, and it says, Dear Todd, I'm so proud of what God is doing in your life. I never would think you would write me. You cared. You took 20 years worth of burden off of me. He says, wait, Rev, there's more. He said, P.S. I left you $300 to help you get through.
Wow.
So I'm watching God develop me. I'm watching him. I got money now. I can eat. So now I'm working out. My temple's clean. I'm reading the Bible. I'm getting the word. I'm getting the renewing of the mind. And all the time that I was writing a letter to the judges, lawyers, and GBIs, God was ordaining this to be a book for me to help lost souls understand that he's real. Because when I got out of there, getting my kids, let me tell you where I got. When I got out of there, the Lord told me to go to the law library. I went to the law library. I pull up a motion for my discovery. It says 6 months, indict or release. I was there for 12 and a half months. Nobody indicted me. Nobody released me. They didn't even sign off on the bottom because they didn't even have a case. So instead of me facing 50 years with a public offender, I'm getting ready to walk out this door with a lawsuit and go find my son. So they came to me, Mr. Patterson, if you want to go find your son, because they knew that's all I wanted, you have to take one of these misdemeanors. We'll get rid of all the 5 felonies. 5 do 10. No, 2 do 10. All of them was 2 do 10. So they dropped. I said, yeah, I'll take it. I took that one and I went out. It took me about 40-something days to find my son. Last time I saw my son, I wrapped him in a diamond-shaped blanket. I used to feed him his formula and sing this song, Thank You, Lord, for My Tyson. And he would turn around and hug me and go to sleep, right? And so I got a letter finally from Defect saying, Mr. Patterson, we may have your son in foster. Before they can say care, I was there. And I'm sitting in this chair because this little boy started walking around the corner. Same hair, same face, my twin. I'm crying, I'm jumping up and down, I'm freaking out. And I'm saying, Lord, you said that you wasn't going to let nobody touch him. And he came around, I'm hugging him, and I'm kissing him all over. So I started turning him towards the cartoon because I didn't want him to, some man that he ain't seen is kissing on him and freak him out. And when I started singing that song to him, that Thank You, Lord, for My Tyson, he turned around and hugged me again. He knew who I was. And 45 minutes later, Defect said, okay, Tyson, tell Daddy bye-bye. And he's waving to them. And everybody's saying, oh, he's just a kid. That's why he's doing it. They went to reach for him to grab him out my arms. He started kicking and screaming. He knew who I was. He knew who I was. And that's why I love God, because he did everything he said. So I did the parenting classes, drug evaluation, psychiatric testing, all that stuff,
Yes,
right?
Lord.
I did all that stuff. Aced it. Judge said, get this man back his son. He been through enough hell. I got a standing ovation in the courtroom. I get home, I'm having a ball. My son's here. We got this house because I did everything right, and a couple people helped too. And I get this bang, bang, bang at the door, and I look out the window. There's some unmarked car again. I said, oh, here they go again. I open the door. Boom, boom. Defects lady. 99.9 say you have a daughter, his sister. Do you want her? Because she was born in it too. They took her at birth when they was listening to my story. When I wrote to GBIs and everybody else, they took her at birth from the mother, because the mother was still doing the drugs and still doing stuff with him. And I didn't even know I had a daughter, so I got my daughter. I raised them since they were 6 months old. I've been through the teething, the infections, the wiping backwards, the PTA meetings, the formulas and all that good stuff, and it's fun. It made me solid. So the deadbeat dad stuff, that's over because all the other kids are loving on my kids. They're loving on each other. All the kids are blessed, And I'm not trying to brag. It's just God is real. He took me from a street nothing. Now I'm a book author. I sat there and wrote this whole album while I was there because I'm sitting here, I'm watching them, I'm getting healthy. I am 60, I'll be 61 next week. And people said, you can't be that because God kept me. He preserved me, He made me work out, clean my temple, pay attention to Him. And now I'm just full of His
Wow.
love.
Wow.
Are you ready to move when God says move? Are you ready to move in what God has for you? And are you ready to move in the visions and dreams He's given you? And are you ready to move when God says?
So
Thank you
yeah,
so much. I applaud you for all you've done. And so many
glory to
people
God.
that traveled your journey don't have the same end results that you've had. So don't be ashamed of what you've been through. Just be grateful for the fact that you're a living example
Amen.
of a different end result of people who've gone through what you've lived through. And so this takes us to our spreading the tea segment.
Cool, cool.
You guys, for those of you who don't know, I am a tea lover. And so I always take a pause to introduce my guests and even people who visit me to teas. And so the first thing I'd like to do is for Mr. Patterson to taste the tea. And I want you to be honest about the tea. And so today's tea is dandelion leaf tea. That's what it is.
Okay.
The ingredient is just simply dandelion leaf tea. That's it. Dandelion leaf. I'm sorry. That's the only thing that's in there. It's no caffeine. It's caffeine free.
Okay.
And there's no sugar. I used agave as the sweetener. It's a natural sweetener from the tree. The benefits from this tree. And so while I'm saying this, you can be tasting it.
Okay,
And I
sure.
look forward to you sharing with me what your thoughts are about the tea. And you're welcome to be honest about your thoughts about it. This tea is an excellent source of potassium, mineral, and electrolyte that stimulates the heartbeat. So that's the primary benefit of this tea. And so I'd like for you to share with our audience your thoughts about the tea, how it smells, how it tastes, and anything else that you may have that you like to share about it.
It's really good. It's really good. And you would think there's sugar in it because it has the same sweetness. Not much, but it's so round that it's almost like you know how fruit punch soothes your throat? It does the same.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
yes,
nice.
Yes, you guys. I
Yeah, this is
strongly
nice.
encourage you to do this tea. It's lightweight. It has a light scent to it, a light aroma, and it has a great taste.
Pretty good.
And it's good for you. So that takes us to our next segment, and that
Real good.
is the book. Of course, we talked about that. You became a musician, right?
Mhm.
So you have an album or a CD. Look, album or CD.
All that good stuff.
CD in the 21st century. CD in the 21st century.
Right.
And you're going to perform for us too today as well.
Okay.
So I like to know, there's a song that you're going to perform today. I like to know why you wrote that song. What inspired you to write it?
Well, just to let you know about the album real quick too.
Okay.
There's like several songs on the album, and they all coincide what happened in the story that I told you. And then, like the last days, it just talks about how we need to treat each other better, how we need to love on each other, build lives instead of destroying lives. in the last days. I have a song called Lord, I Do Love You. Of course, because look what you did. You changed my life. You gave me my kids back. You made me a book author. You made me a music producer. And whatever. And you got me here. We're hanging out with Tanya. So, I'm good. I'm excited. And the last song that I did recently was 23rd song. I did a rendition. And, that's just me really giving my heart, just letting him know, thank you, Lord. Just thank you for being real. Thank you for saving my kids, even my other kids. All of them are blessed. I had one son out of 12 kids that passed. And he was working on the ship during the day, and he was in college at night. And he kind of fell asleep at the wheel. And he wasn't damaged or anything. He had one little mark, but I think it was eternal. But I never met him. I met him 20 years after he was born. And we reunited, and we started loving on each other. And I got to spend like 5 years with him before he passed. But the rest of them, they're military, police, fitness coach, ministers. My son retired. Even my baby, the one we talk about in the book, both of them. Neve, she's a track star. She's cheerleader first. They even let her create some of the steps. Then she did basketball, and now she's running track. So now I have to find some money because she's trying to act now. But she's doing her thing. My son Tyson, oh my God, he's a lover boy. And he was having issues with his grades. And I told him, I said, look, you want to pull those grades up, just get with somebody who's smart, whoever's got it, and tell them, look, your poppy will give you, money. You guys can go out and eat, whatever you want.
Okay. Well, tell one last thing before we do our closure and you perform for us. Tell us, what do you plan to do with this book? Do you plan to launch it as a movie someday? Just briefly share that.
Yeah, well, I have several attempts of people trying to make movies of it. I'm just trying to wait to get the right deal, the right people, because it's not something that's just based on money. It's based on something that's going to change people's life and give them hope from wherever walk they are. There's a God that loves all of us. We just have to realize that He's there for us, pretty much.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
tell our audience how they can connect with you.
Well, the book is on Barnes and Noble, Amazon, um, Author House, and if you get it from me through my people, I will sign it, and get it to you too. It's on demand. It's a powerful book. Like I said, there's a couple people trying to do movies on it, so that should be out whenever somebody comes and want to do the right thing.
Tell them the name of the book.
The testimony, the message, and the victory.
Absolutely.
Yep.
By Mr. Todd Patterson.
Yep.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us on this journey of discovering and unpacking Mr. Todd Patterson's journey from prison to prosperity and deliverance from evil. There is something I'd like to share with you in closing, is that love is irrefutable. It is undeniably one of the greatest experiences that anyone can have, and you deserve to be loved. I am your host, Dr. Tangi of Love Manifesto Podcast. Peace and love.